1 hour ago, judge orders Ellen DeGeneres arrest after explosive audio played in Diddy trial in. A shocking twist out of the Superior Court of California this morning, Judge Harrison Trent issued an arrest warrant for TV personality Ellen DeGeneres, and the reason has left the courtroom and the internet stunned. The turning point? A never-before-heard voice recording left by the late Stephen tWitch boss, played publicly for the first time during Sean Diddy Combs' ongoing criminal trial. That recording, encrypted and hidden until now, was reportedly made just weeks before tWitch's sudden and suspicious death in December 2022. Until today, his death was widely accepted as a suicide. That belief may be about to change. This isn't random. Those are the first words tWitch says on the tape. His voice is calm, but you can feel the weight behind it. "I don't know who will hear this," he continues. "But if they find me, if they say it's suicide, no, this isn't random. This is because of what I know, what I saw." What followed wasn't a dramatic confession. It was more haunting. A quiet, detailed account of what tWitch called a world of pressure, fear, and hidden parties. The kind hosted in hotel penthouses under fake business names. The kind where Diddy, who now faces charges for conspiracy and sex trafficking, was allegedly the mastermind. And most shocking of all, tWitch says Ellen was there. "She told me to smile, said I was safe. But I didn't feel safe." tWitch described being invited to one of these parties by Ellen herself. "I was with her," he says. "She told me everything was fine, but I think she knew. I really do." He doesn't use the word blackmail, but the implication is chilling. He talks about calls from blocked numbers, NDAs he didn't read, and requests to show up at events. Late, secretive, and always off the books. Until now, Ellen DeGeneres has been seen as a smiling, feel-good daytime icon. But behind the scenes, there's always been talk, toxic workplace allegations in 2020, staff claiming racism, fear, and emotional abuse. She apologized. Ratings fell, but she survived. Now, she might not. From tragedy to cover-up, tWitch's death triggered candlelight vigils and celebrity tributes. It devastated fans of The Ellen Show. A note was found at the scene, but never released, in full. Police said it mentioned personal struggles. But the voice memo tells a very different story. tWitch talks about powerful people, initials instead of names, and a mysterious billionaire producer with an East Coast compound. He paints a picture of elitist circles, where image matters, more than truth, and where he felt watched, cornered, unsafe. His final words? "If anything happens, don't just look at Diddy." The fallout begins after the tape was played. The courtroom exploded into chaos. Reporters were cleared out. Legal teams scrambled. Judge Trent, stone-faced, took just minutes to sign the warrant for Ellen's arrest. Behind the scenes, investigators had already been tracking her. Flight records, financial links, and multiple appearances at Diddy's events from 2019 to 2021. 2 of those parties matched locations from witness statements describing after-hours rooms, where phones were banned, staff were swapped hourly, and private security kept outsiders out. According to tWitch, Ellen invited him personally to one such event. "It wasn't like the show," he says. "She wasn't Ellen that night." Ellen's image crumbles. Some fans still defend her, pointing to her years of charity and progressive advocacy. But others aren't buying it anymore. Online, "Thas or Justice for tWitch" is trending. Former Ellen Show staffers are coming forward anonymously, saying they were warned not to ask questions about Ellen's ties to certain celebrities, especially Diddy. They describe an atmosphere of fear and control that lasted well beyond the show's cancellation in 2022. As more people come forward and more evidence surfaces, one thing is clear. This is no longer just about Diddy. The story is just beginning. For years, Hollywood has been accused of protecting its own. Now, that protection may finally be cracking. As of press time, Ellen DeGeneres' legal team has denied all allegations. No arrest has been made yet, but sources close to the investigation confirm that law enforcement is in contact, and behind all of it lingers one chilling, unresolved truth. The man who danced for millions may have died trying to say something no one wanted to hear, until now. That truth brought us to day 2 of the Courtroom saga. Less than 24 hours after Judge Harrison Trent signed the arrest warrant, prosecutors came back with more. A second recording, Final Draft 4E. This time, it wasn't just what tWitch said, it was what he left behind. For the first time, the Ibawi court heard a second recording, titled Final Draft 4E. Forensic analysts confirmed it was recorded 3 days before his death. The tone was different. No longer just a warning, it sounded like a farewell. I tried to believe you, I really did. You said it was normal. People who talk too much just disappear because they want to. But I know that's not the truth. I know what I saw. I know who was there. If you're listening, then it's already too late. You could hear a pin drop. Then came the part that shook the courtroom. Specific dates, locations, and flight numbers. 2 of those matched previous party nights now tied to Diddy, and 1 placed Ellen there directly. The paper trail investigators traced Ellen's private jet to Los Angeles on both weekends in question, December 11th, 2021, April 9th, 2022, her public calendar claimed she was on break or working remotely, but hotel records from the Highland Viceroy told another story. A penthouse suite on the same floor as Diddy's event was booked under an alias connected to one of Ellen's shell companies. Even more damning, guest logs, until now kept sealed, listed Stephen tWitch Boss under entertainment. One source inside the investigation told reporters, "We were tracking Diddy. We didn't expect Ellen's name to come up. But the paper trail is too clean to ignore." Allison Holker. More than grief? For over a year, the public saw Allison Holker, tWitch's widow, as a devastated wife and mother. But new records revealed during the hearing have raised serious questions. Prosecutors disclosed that Allison received a $3.2 million payout from an unnamed entertainment company just weeks after tWitch's death. The payment was labeled a legacy disbursement. Her spokesperson called it standard, related to estate management and unpaid residuals. But experts aren't convinced. No one pays that much in residuals unless they're paying for silence, said attorney Rhea Barnes. That number screams hush money. The court has now subpoenaed all communication between Allison and her legal team from November 2022 to March 2023. Former staff break their silence. Meanwhile, former Ellen show staffers are starting to talk. 3 former executive producers speaking. Anonymously told reporters they were repeatedly warned not to ask questions about Ellen's private guests. They described after-parties, odd behavior, and a workplace where silence wasn't just expected, it was enforced. One story stood out. "During the last season, tWitch came in late one day," said one producer. "He didn't say much, just sat there and stared at the floor." Ellen asked, "You good?" He said, "Depends who's watching." The missing memo, according to court records, tWitch left 3 audio files. The third remains unplayed, so far. Its title, If They Say I Gave Up. Judge Trent has stated it will be admitted into evidence once its relevance is verified. But already 2 leaked lines have made it into the press. "I loved my family. I loved dancing, but they're going to say I gave up, and that's the part that hurts most." Sources say the file was recorded just 12 hours before his death and stored on a password-protected drive, only recently unlocked through forensic methods. The FBI has now classified its full contents. Ellen's silence speaks loudest. Since the ICR arrest warrant was unsealed, Ellen DeGeneres has not made a single public appearance. Her legal team issued a statement calling the charges deeply misguided and entirely without basis. But outside her Montecito compound, there's been no movement, no press, no denial, no Ellen. And now, that silence, once part of her brand, is the loudest sound in the courtroom. The trial resumes Monday. Prosecutors are pushing to make the third memo public. Ellen's lawyers are fighting hard to suppress it. But the question hanging over all of it is no longer whether something happened. It's how much Ellen knew, and for how long. The Ellen DeGeneres show isn't just a canceled talk show anymore. It's a cautionary tale, a case study in how long a carefully crafted image can stretch before it finally snaps. Stephen tWitch boss is gone, but his voice, his real voice, is finally being heard. And for the first time in decades, Ellen is no longer the one holding the mic. The confession that sparked a storm when Ellen's team released a statement, half admission, half defense, it wasn't met with relief. It was met with rage. The public didn't want spin. They wanted truth. Within hours, social media exploded. Headlines read, "Ellen admits guilt, but will the system follow?" Outside Warner Brothers studios, a crowd gathered, not to cancel a celebrity, but to mourn an illusion. Posters read, "He danced so you could smile. You looked away when he cried." Candles weren't lit for punishment. They were lit for reckoning. This was never just a scandal. Inside the courtroom, the prosecution made it clear. This wasn't just about Ellen. This wasn't just about Diddy. This was about an entire industry that protected silence. The investigation expanded quickly. Subpoenas hit talent agencies, party organizers, entertainment lawyers, even city officials. Some started cooperating. And that's when they found a new folder in tWitch's cloud storage, one that had been missed by both his family and law enforcement. It was labeled Archived, Contracts and Quiet. Inside were NDAs, emails, burner phone threads, evidence of a tightly controlled PR strategy. One email, sent from a burner account to a crisis management firm, read, "If he leaks, pivot to mental health. We've used it before." The courtroom wasn't just trying a case anymore. It was peeling back the armor of an industry that built walls around its stars. Diddy turns on Ellen, then another twist. Diddy broke his silence. His attorneys filed a motion requesting limited immunity in exchange for cooperation. Their argument? He may have hosted the parties, but others created the system. In his sealed proffer, later leaked to the press, Diddy didn't just deflect. He named Ellen, not just as a guest, but as a recruiter. He claimed Ellen recommended attendees, especially people within her circle, assistants, artists, even dancers. One name was underlined, Stephen tWitch Boss. At this point, the theory was clear. tWitch had been brought in, reassured, used, and left alone when he saw too much. He wasn't broken. He was betrayed. Back on social media, public sympathy turned to fury. A new hashtag surged across platforms. He tried to leave. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. Allison Holker, his widow, stepped outside the courthouse, flanked by lawyers and family. She read a single-page statement. He wasn't broken. He was betrayed. He wasn't depressed. He was disillusioned. He loved life, but not the one he was forced to live in silence. His only mistake was trusting people who mistook his kindness for consent. That same afternoon, Allison's legal team filed a motion for a formal inquest into whether tWitch had been coerced, drugged, or threatened in the days before his death. Then came the final crack in the wall of denial. The elevator video recovered. Security footage from one of the now infamous hotel parties showed tWitch entering a penthouse suite. At his side, Ellen. There was no sound, but the body language was impossible to ignore. He shook his head. She gestured downward. He turned to walk away. She touched his arm. He froze. That was 3 days before his death. Their final public appearance together came just after that, during a cheerful, scripted goodbye video for the Ellen Show finale. Now, forensic lip readers are being used to decode their elevator conversation, Ellen's private confession. Behind closed doors, Ellen's legal team began negotiating. She offered names, agencies, private jet services, shadow investors, and then a final bombshell, a private video confession recorded months before the scandal erupted. It was hidden on an encrypted drive, only recovered during her legal handover. The RAR. Title? If They Ask. In it, her voice cracks. I told him it would be fine. I told him to stop asking questions because I was scared too. I didn't kill him, but I made sure no one helped him either. The tape was played in a closed-door session. No cameras, no press, but its impact rippled far beyond that courtroom. A cultural collapse. Streaming services suspended talk shows pending investigation. Legacy studios launched internal audits. Celebrity charities issued public apologies for looking the other way. This was no longer a scandal. This was a collapse, not a cancellation, but a confrontation. Years of curated charisma, friendly optics, and legal NDAs were burning in real time. The world wasn't just asking for justice. They were demanding transformation. Under growing public and legal pressure, the California State Attorney's Office confirmed a formal inquiry into the entertainment industry's use of coercive NDAs, particularly those deployed to silence lower-level employees, contractors, and performers. At the center of it all? The Ellen DeGeneres Show, its affiliated production companies, and more than a dozen guest lists now known simply as the Midnight Floors. Fear spreads, but as the legal chaos escalated, so did the personal toll. Allison Holker, already grieving and navigating relentless media scrutiny, revealed that anonymous threats had been made against her and her family. Paparazzi camped outside their home. Her children were pulled from school. In a joint statement with her attorney, she asked for privacy, but issued a chilling warning. The people who want this buried aren't finished. They've lost their shield. So now they'll target the witnesses. She wasn't exaggerating. Within a week, 2 former assistants from Diddy's event staff rescinded their sworn statements. One cited intimidation. The other vanished, no longer reachable. No social media, no known location. At the same time, a well-known Hollywood fixer, long rumored to specialize in reputation laundering, was discovered to have wiped entire servers clean, erasing photos, names, and guest logs tied to critical events. When federal agents arrived at her door, she said nothing. She invoked the 5th. The truth tWitch died trying to expose wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. The letter, and then something changed. A letter, postmarked from Nevada, arrived at the courthouse. No return address. Handwritten in looping. Cursive. Anonymous. But inside, it described a party in 2017. The details echoed tWitch's own recordings. Darkened penthouse windows. Mandatory phone drop-offs. Ellen arriving late and giving instructions to the room. The letter ended with one line, "I thought I was alone. Now I know I'm not." Forensic handwriting analysts verified its legitimacy. Its metadata matched up with known timelines. And just like that, it became a turning point. tWitch wasn't the first, and he wouldn't have been the last. The industry begins to break in response. An independent coalition was formed. The Artist Integrity Review Board, a mix of legal minds, ex-performers, trauma specialists, and whistleblower advocates. Their goal? To create a safe system for survivors to speak, without fear of retaliation. And speak they did. Hundreds of stories poured in. A backlog formed within weeks. The industry, once armored in silence, was cracking wide open. The final fall of Ellen. Meanwhile, Ellen's silence returned, this time court-ordered. She was formally charged with obstruction of justice, criminal conspiracy to suppress evidence, but it wasn't the charges that shifted public sentiment. It was the sentencing hearing. Ellen walked in without a lawyer. No prepared statement, no PR spin. She stepped up to the mic, paused, and said, "I stopped listening when I should have started. I laughed when I should have asked. And I'll carry that forever." No tears, no excuses, just 16 words, and then she was escorted out. Her sentence? 2 years of restricted freedom under an experimental accountability program, monitored home residence, mandatory financial restitution to victims, full cooperation with ongoing investigations. Some called it lenient, others called it restraint, injustice. But for those closest to Stephen Boss, it wasn't enough. A legacy rewritten on what would have been Twitch's 42nd birthday. A public memorial was held in downtown LA. Thousands showed up. Dancers from across the industry performed, some to music he produced, others in total silence, letting movement speak where words once failed. Allison stood on stage, not to cry, but to testify. He wasn't a headline. He wasn't a hashtag. He was a father, a creator, a friend to so many of you. And today, we dance. Not because he's gone, but because he finally told his story, and the world listened. From the crowd, a voice called out, "He didn't give up." Others echoed it, then dozens, then hundreds. A chant rising, "He didn't give up." And in that moment, something shifted. Stephen "Twitch" Boss would not be remembered as a man who broke. He would be remembered as the man who stood up, spoke out, and changed everything.